Michelle Gig. I am the MDIPD, or MDIPD, if you will, if you prefer, for the Phoenix Institute. One of my major responsibilities working with the Phoenix team is to work with our district partners. So I'm particularly excited to talk to you all today about conducting first and initial conversations with principals, mostly because this is a part of my job that I really love to do. Work with our districts, work with our principals to make sure that our summer program is really mutually beneficial for their kids and for everybody that's involved in our summer school program. So I want to just talk about why I think this session is so important for school directors as leaders of the Institute. One main point here is that for all of the schools in Chicago and then many of the schools in Phoenix, this is actually the first time that many principals will be partnering with Teach for America. In Phoenix, it's because we're going to a lot of new schools in one of our districts, and in Chicago, obviously, it's your charter year here in Chicago. So really important that we are cultivating strong relationships with principals to serve as a foundation for our institutes in the future. So a couple of notes. When I talk about, or Abigail and I talk about principals in this session, we're talking both the summer school point person and also potentially the current principal of the school. So potentially you could be thinking about this as initial conversations with this current school principal, but if that's not your lead point person for this summer, you want to think in the same way about who you're working with as the administrator of the summer. The other thing, just to give you a benchmark of where we are, you will probably not be having these initial conversations until May around half-staff. But this is the last time we sort of have school directors as a captive audience to talk about this issue. So I just want you to know, this session is maybe less about the specific agenda for your meeting and more about building a vision for how to think about these conversations, and then some ideas about how to execute them really effectively. So I just want to say, you won't walk out of this with a meeting agenda. Let's just call it out right now. So with this sort of framework in mind, the big things that we're going to talk about today are the mindsets and actions that effective school directors use to talk with their school site point person or their principal. We're going to talk about needs, so both what you expect principals' needs will be over the summer, and then also what our needs are as a Teach for America school site leader. We're going to talk a little bit about some communication strategies to use while you're interacting with your principal in these initial meetings, and then we'll actually get a chance, I think for the first time at this conference, to actually role play a little conversation. So to get us started, let's look at an SD that maybe needs a little bit of help and guidance in this area. So we're going to read a little bit about SD and MS. So SD and MS wrote a Dear Wendy letter that just demonstrates that they need some help. So here's what we are going to be doing for the next 8 minutes. Independently for 4 minutes, which is really super quick, so I want you to get right started, is complete questions 1, 2, and 3 after you read the Dear Wendy letter. And then after 4 minutes, we're going to come back with your table groups and answer question 4. So if you could go ahead and get started with that 4 minutes.